Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest is a special tag team attraction. Set for one fall.
Joe, that was embarrassing.
Joe.
It's got nothing to do with anything we're doing. And it's going to get even more chaotic out here now.
How is he going to get through them all if you're rude and interrupt him? From the RC Dupree, and apparently we're not going to hear all facts. Thanks, Joe. But moving on from that, do you know how long Ron Mathis is going to be Premier Champion?
Oh, enlighten me.
Forever! You know, you've got your heir apparent.
Oh, he's licking it.
Sporting a new do. You've got your Premier Champion forever.
Well, I'm wondering how any of these four athletes are going to get through what's going to be a very volatile tag team matchup. Two men who have been screwed out of the Premier Championship by the two men in the ring.
Oh, Joe, I think they got a plan.
Well, last month, LeRusso jumped Sonny Vice on the entrance ramp. And we may be seeing much more of the same. Mathis and LeRusso to be opposed by Sonny Vice and Andrew Palace. Mathis going to cut Vice off with a pass. Wait a minute. Vice and Palace from the opposite side. They came in through the front door. LeRusso had no idea.
No, that's not the entrance way.
LeRusso had a hand in both Palace and Vice, losing the Premier Championship to Mathis. And Palace and Vice are still looking for retribution. Back body drop, nicely done. Keep in mind, Mathis came in to cause a disqualification when it looked like Vice was going to beat LeRusso. Then Mathis dropped Vice on his head. LeRusso pinned Vice. Mathis counted. They made the ring announcer announce it. They humiliated Vice out here. Palace has been without the championship since December because Mathis got inside his head and played mind games. And Palace explodes with a suicide dive. Palace and Vice aligned by a mutual disdain for the champion and the heir apparent.
Are you done? Can I spout the praises of my friend Chris LeRusso now? Do you mind?
Well, if you can.
Man, getting hot, Joe.
Oh, well, the action's hot. These four athletes are hot at one another as Vice hits the steel. You knew this was going to be a little bit out of hand. You knew it would be hard to control.
Well, it certainly will, but you know, you've got Sonny Vice, admittedly, former Premier Champion. We got the current champion forever in Ron Mathis. You've got your heir apparent, Chris LeRusso, and you've got the man that RC Dupree and Jack Pollock do not like in Andrew Palace. Four top competitors here at Premier.
That sounds a lot like jealousy to me. I think LeRusso and Mathis are jealous of Palace, the first ever Premier Champion. And that's a record that'll stick forever.
But he wasn't the champ forever.
Well, neither was Mathis because Sonny Vice beat him.
Well, starting now.
I see. Mathis with a big-time victory over Jackson Stone a month ago at Fallout. Mathis elevated the 300-pounder in most impressive fashion. And I give Mathis his due about what he brings to the table. But, man, he is so volatile and so uncontrollable. And the fact that he is at the whim of Chris LeRusso makes him that much more dangerous.
And, Joe, you know, with Ron Mathis being the Premier Champion, Chris LeRusso told me earlier that people are just ringing his phone off the hook, trying to get interviews, trying to get photo shoots. We're talking Time Magazine.
Look at Vice fighting from both sides to get out of the corner, get to Palace. But the cerebral LeRusso has trapped the self-described Mr. McSweetness in their corner, and now Mathis goes to work.
Mr. McSweetness.
Cover by Mathis, 2 count. No, not that again.
I'm still stuck on Mr. McSweetness.
Well, that's Sonny Vice. That's not creative services, pal, but be that as it may.
Apparently he was out taking a whiz when they were coming up with nicknames or monikers, huh?
Hey, that's Sonny Vice being Sonny Vice. And that's what Premier Championship Wrestling is all about. Be yourself. Let your attitude out. Let your expression out. Look out. And wait, here comes Andrew Palace. All Andrew Palace could be is himself, too. And that's a ball of energy.
Well, pro wrestling is not a place to be yourself.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And express yourself.
Maybe you can join a monastery somewhere. I don't know. If you're not happy here, it's self-expression personified. And Palace expressing his frustration all over LeRusso's anatomy right now.
Well, Palace can't get a second, or excuse me, LeRusso can't get a second to breathe.
LeRusso's been breathing down the neck of everybody for all these months, tried to shut Palace and Vice out of title contention.
Well, let's not forget the fact that he was jumped at the start of this matchup.
Wait a minute. Oh, no, Palace. He had thrown first on that top rope. Mathis able to manipulate that situation.
Well, in Mathis' defense, he is the champion. Forever!
You said it right when he did. That was weird.
Well, great minds, Joe. Great minds.
Something like that. Tag to Mathis. What do you think a victory for either team would do when it comes to the premier title picture moving forward as Mathis removes his pants?
Well,
oh no.
Ravishing Ron Mathis in there right now.
That is the most ironic nickname ever. That's worse than Mr. McSweetness. He's whipping him with his pants.
But you never thought you'd call that.
He's hitting him with his trousers. Look out. But to my point,
I think it would just continue the momentum that Chris LeRusso and Ron Mathis are on, which certainly led credence to the fact that Ron Mathis will be the champion forever. And
the suplex may last forever.
And let's hope Ron Mathis doesn't derobe any further. But I think if Palace or Sonny, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, what was he, Rocky McTimbledon or...
Well, Mathis held Palace up for about a solid 15 to 20 seconds. I'll point that out. Very impressive power. But, yeah, Sonny Vice and Andrew Palace, to me, if either one can pin Ron Mathis, they deserve an immediate title shot.
And it's, look, Sweetie McSugarbuns is just getting in the ring without a tag.
Well, Sonny Vice is upset. Do you blame him?
I'd be upset if I had a stupid nickname, too.
Most important, most emotional moment of his life, when he won the championship, was stolen from him a month later by LeRusso, running out of nowhere after a 5-month exile to help Mathis.
Well, LeRusso was busy.
2 count only.
Doing stuff.
He was hiding from people that wanted his head here.
What do you have against LeRusso?
Nothing, I'm just being honest. Ricky Shane Page took him out. Where were you?
I was here, working with you.
All right, then.
Trying to hold this whole thing together.
Well, LeRusso, I think, only came back when he realized Mathis needed him.
Well, he's like a guardian angel. He's like a fairy godmother. Bibbidi-bobbidi LeRusso.
Palace fighting free from LeRusso's grasp, hits Mathis, and check out the right vertical leap.
That was a bibbidi-bobbidi drop kick to the face.
By the heir apparent gets 2 that time. And LeRusso is a guy that believes all this is his for the taking, so in his mind, he's done nothing wrong yet.
I would happen to agree with that. Name one thing Chris LeRusso's done wrong. See, you can't.
I just mentioned he cost Sonny Vice the championship literally 90 seconds ago.
Well, that might be wrong in your eyes.
Palace is trying to fight out of the chancery, but LeRusso backed Palace to the LeRusso-Mathis corner.
That's smart tag team wrestling. They're a great team. They communicate very well. I don't know of many people that can actually communicate with Ron Mathis, but Chris LeRusso seems to be one of them.
Well, I've seen many try and fail, that's for sure. They just get screamed at.
Well, if you're asking him how long he'll be the champion, you can communicate with him.
I've seen Lendl do very great attempt, but a very awkward delivery as far as talking to Mathis on our official social media accounts. Mathis attempting a superplex on Palace.
Let me just say again, what a great day it is to have a truly honorable ring announcer here this evening.
Where?
Dave Kitch.
Oh, please.
The guy in the white suit. Perhaps you've seen him there. He's right between the legs of Ron Mathis.
Excuse me?
Under the rope.
Lendl should be here. Cody White should be here. Look at this. Oh, following slam. Nicely done. And we may have a ring announcement of a Ron Mathis victory sooner than later. If Mathis is blaming Palace for how Mathis landed on his head.
That's fair. I see his point. I see where he's coming from.
Well, the cover here hooks the leg. 2 count only.
I say, when you catch your head at that angle, Ron Mathis could be concussed. Could you imagine the damage that could do?
I don't know if we'd be able to notice much difference. LeRusso's in now.
He might not know how long he's champion for.
Oh, wouldn't that be terrible?
Ah, we can remind him.
Mathis never shuts his mouth out.
Well, wait a minute. How come when Palace is full of energy, you say how great it is that he's got all that Tasmanian devil-like energy? But Ron Mathis, you don't heap that same praise on him.
Because I don't have to worry about talking over Andrew Palace. Palace, look at this, the momentum! LeRusso went up and over but caught himself. Struck Sonny Vice, but Palace has him! Launches LeRusso!
Well, Sweetie McDreamy should have had his eye on the ball. That's why he's on the floor now.
Well, Palace is looking for a tag, but Vice got knocked off the apron. And Mathis already tagged in. Palace is on his own. And that's the disadvantage of perhaps Palace and Vice never having teamed before.
Well, it also doesn't help when you get knocked off the apron, too. That was just what it was.
Yeah, that was LeRusso again manipulating the situation. But look at Palace. The superplex to Mathis. But Palace has two opponents in the ring. One is directly between him and Sonny Vice.
You see LeRusso smart there. He's trying to hold on to Palace. Well, I don't know if Ron Mathis knows where he's going right now.
Palace is reaching for Vice. And Sonny Vice tagged in. LeRusso and Mathis just gaining their bearings now in a double crossbody. Oh, people never expected Vice to be the premier champion. Can he pull out another miracle here? Both men take it down.
Well, we don't know what all was taken out of Palace, so he's going to have to go 2-on-1 right now.
Oh, leapfrog out of harm's way. Neck breaker plants both men.
Joe, I don't think Ron Mathis knows where he is.
There's nothing new there. Sonny Vice is in rare form, though.
Well, and now Sonny Vice is without his two front teeth.
I think Vice was looking for that tilt-a-whirl inverted DDT. LeRusso with a thrust kick. Palace went for a backdrop suplex. Action is hot and heavy center ring with premier title implications. LeRusso went for the headlock driver. LeRusso gets the knee. Could be time for the near-death experience.
If he hits it, it's over, Joe.
Palace the knee to counter. Hernia driver. LeRusso dropped toe hold. These men know each other so well they've been rivals over many states for many years. LeRusso the thrust kick again. And Palace the back fist.
We just saw an impressive array of offense, back and forth and back and forth. Neither man can get the advantage. We got all four down right now.
Yeah, and this shows you how competitive the top of the card in Premier Championship Wrestling is. I can't remember there being such a stranglehold around the top spots of not just the Welterweight Championship, but the Premier Championship. And we have an 8-man tag of 8 main eventers later tonight. Things are more competitive than ever here in Premier.
That was forever, by the way.
Well, forever wasn't that long in that environment. Vice got the foot up. Oh, got caught! Mathis the power slam.
Could you imagine the facts that R.C. Dupree could come up with about Ron Mathis?
I'd rather not. Mathis, that wild look in his eyes. He signaled tombstone on Sonny Vice. We've seen Vice get dropped on his head multiple times. It's been his downfall almost every time. Vice has a lot of fight in him, but Mathis may have his number.
Well, Joe, it's going to be all over but the 3 count.
Vice elevated, look out. Vice pushes through. He gets that tilt-the-world inverted DDT. Vice has Mathis. 2. What? Oh, Mathis got the shoulder up. Mathis just barely got the shoulder up, and here comes the main event. Also hired heavies and Chris LeRusso. And LeRusso just hit Vice with Mathis' championship.
Well, what happened? I'm focused on the main event.
Main event caused a diversion. Mathis got placed on top of Vice. Mathis is barely conscious. The championship belt knocked Vice out, and Mathis and LeRusso stole it.
Here are your winners, the heir apparent Chris LeRusso, and the premier champion, the White Trash Maniac, Ron Mathis.
Joe, LeRusso, what a courageous win by Ron
stop
Mathis.
it.
He came, we thought he was done. Him and LeRusso got there. That's why he's the champion.
Mathis doesn't know where he is. He didn't even know what happened. He barely kicked out. He kicked out on instinct. He was still unconscious. And now a grandiose celebration.
He is the champion forever.
But here's the question, Ben. With this victory, shutting out two of the top contenders, Mathis, LeRusso, Gannon, and Duke, are they the most dominant faction in Premier?
Well, no doubt about it. They certainly have the gold to back it up, and as Ron Mathis would say, they're going to be that Premier faction.
But you know what? My estimation, Palace and Vice got a raw deal. They deserve better than that. Than a 4-on-2 loss with a championship belt as a weapon.
Wham!
And I've got an idea that maybe next month, Mathis will have to atone for his actions. This isn't over. Palace and Vice are still in the hunt, if you ask me. But Mathis and LeRusso, yeah, they got one over tonight. But forever has a time limit, if you ask me.